Happiness level 4, well, that's like ultimate, transcendent, perfect, and eternal happiness. Now, you might say to yourself, well, do I really have a drive for these things? I mean, if you look inside yourself, I think you'll find that you really do have a drive for the transcendent, and the perfect and the eternal. And all kinds of philosophers like Plato and Augustine and Aristotle actually recognized this within themselves. And they normally called it the 5 transcendent desires, or the 5 transcendentals. And that was the desire for perfect and unconditional truth. I mean, we would like the complete set of correct answers to the complete set of questions. I mean, we want to know everything about everything. And by the way, we want perfect and unconditional love too. I mean, we don't want just some love. I mean, we want unconditional love, perfect love. And boy, have you ever noticed when you're around somebody who's not loving you perfectly, how frustrated you can get? What are you looking for? And by the way, we want perfect justice too. Have you ever noticed that when people are not perfectly fair to you, your parents are not perfectly fair to you, or your boyfriend or girlfriend's not perfectly fair to you, you're just outraged. I mean, that's not fair. You're really, really upset, frustrated. What are you looking for? And by the way, we want perfect beauty. I mean, I think you probably recognize that most people, want to be as beautiful as they can be, and they want to be around people who are equally beautiful. And not only that, they want beauty, they want beautiful music, they want beautiful naturescapes, they want beautiful art. You get the point. And of course, we all want perfect home. We know we're not at home here. We want perfect home. Now, these philosophers, Plato and Aristotle and Augustine, these guys, they basically were thinking, how are we going to get to this? How are we going to get to this perfect happiness? Can we bring ourselves to this perfect happiness? And what Plato and Augustine in particular discovered is they can't. They really couldn't do it for themselves. They figured out, I'm just finite. And my friends around me are finite. They can't give me perfect truth. They can't give me the knowledge of everything about everything. They can't give me perfect love. They're always going to make some mistake. They're not going to understand me perfect. They're not even going to understand themselves perfect. They're not going to be perfectly fair or just. They're always going to be making some mistake. Perfect beauty doesn't exist in the natural world. I mean, how in the world can I ever be fulfilled, find my way to perfect truth, love, goodness, beauty, and home? How am I going to do this, on my own or with other finite human beings? And Plato and Augustine said, well, you're not. Now, St. Augustine recognized right away, and Plato kind of did too, right? He kind of knew that these transcendentals had to come from some transcendent source. And they had to come even from a unique transcendent source. So a one and only one transcendent source, which we all call God. And Augustine recognized that very, very clearly. And he even had a proof for this in a couple of his metaphysical works. But the point is that he recognized that only God was perfect truth, love, goodness, beauty, and home. And therefore, he was only going to be able to get perfect truth, love, goodness, beauty, and home from God and through God, through this perfectly loving, perfectly good, perfectly true, perfect home, perfectly beautiful, awe-inspiring, majestic God. And so he left us with this incredible phrase at the very beginning of his classical work called the Confessions. He said, he's praying to God in it. And he says, "For thou hast made us for thyself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee." And what he's trying to tell God is he recognizes within himself, he knows that if he comes up with anything short of God, anything short of perfect love in God, anything short of perfect truth in God, anything short of perfect goodness in God, he's going to have this restless heart. And this restless heart's going to make him go from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. But at the end of the day, only God can give him the satisfaction which God himself created him for. So for Augustine sort of thinks, what are these? How do I know, perfect love, truth, goodness, beauty, and home? How do I know this? And he says, it's almost like I have a memory of having forgotten something really important. So this knowledge we have is almost like a memory of something we forgot, but we know it's really important. That's the kind of memory it is. It's not like it's shooting out like we already know what perfect home is. We know it enough to desire it. It's not like we already know what perfect truth is, knowledge of everything about everything, but we know it enough to desire it and pursue it. It's not like we know already what perfect love is. It's we know it enough to pursue it and desire it. And at the end of the day, says Augustine, only through God, only through the perfectly true, perfectly good, perfectly loving, perfectly beautiful, and perfectly home-filled God. That's the only way we're ever going to be satisfied, because that drive is within us, and God gave it to us. For thou hast made us for thyself, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee.